Here's a theory for you to disregard completely. Cyclocross, true cyclocross, not just bike racing, it chooses you. It lives on your commute or alone on the trainer, riding to the store, in the vast scenic bridges and angelic choirs in your brain. It is a place apart from the vast benign lap of America. Did you know that Go Cross was finished in 60 minutes? It means nothing, nil, but it takes them just 1 hour to accomplish what Unbound Gravel takes 10 or 11 hours to not accomplish. Leadville? This is fatuous pseudo blubber. Which is fine. But to foist it off as art? Or Big Sugar? The fans at that race are drunken buffoons posing as poets. Give me Charm City Cross. They got the courage to be drunken buffoons, which makes them poetic. Hello, cyclocross friends, and welcome back to the Heat Check. We're fresh off an exciting weekend of UCI racing in Baltimore, Maryland, the greatest city in America, the city that reads, the Charm City. And we have a lot to talk about as we count down our top 11 women and top 11 men in this week's CX Heat Check Power Rankings, powered by Brian. In 11th place is Raphael Carrier. It's a tough beat to sweep the weekend in Charm City and drop 2 places on the Heat Check. But she's the only women's junior on the list, and we had to make room for some other elites. Like in 10th place, and Mia Asseltine. Welcome to the Heat Check. The Comp Edge racer not only has a name that is dangerously close to anagramming to I am a saltine, but more importantly, she makes her UCI season debut with a 12th place on Saturday at Charm City and 10th on Sunday. In the 9th spot, it's Ella Brennanman. 9th place on day 1 and 8th on day 2 at Charm City. Brennanman is consistently in the top 10. Now, in my notes, it says, maybe say something about the purple kits. And that sent me into a pop culture tailspin that had me lying in bed wondering if the creature in the 1950s novelty song Purple People Eater was a purple monster or it ate purple people. Call in if you know the answer. At number 8 is Taylor Cook White. She's back. The bike is back. Just like Brennanman, she finished with an 8th and 9th place at Charm City. So it came down to a tiebreaker for the 8th spot. And you knew the cantilever brakes were going to give Cook White the edge. Y'all are obsessed with those brakes. Number 7 in the power rankings is Emily Shields. Snubbed by the Heat Check last week despite 2 top 10 finishes in Rochester, Shields bounces back this week with a pair of 6s at Charm City, which gets her 7th in the Heat Check. In 6th place is Kaya Musgrave. A 5th place on day 1 and 7th on day 2 keeps the first-year U23 racer in the power rankings just 1 step lower than last week. And at number 5, it's Lauren Zerner. 7th on day 1 at Charm City and 4th on day 2 after connecting with her teammate Carolyn Maney and working with her to hold off the rest of the field. Zerner moves up 1 spot from last week. In the 4th spot, it's Raylan Nuss. 4th and 5th at Charm City is an improvement over her Rochester results. Nuss is trending upwards again after a strong start at Roanoke. Which brings us to 3rd place and the aforementioned Carolyn Maney. Cyclocross's energy bunny just keeps going and going. For much as she wants to tell you she's too old and not feeling 100%, once the whistle blows, there isn't more of a gamer in that field. The Iron Woman, the Energizer Bunny. Manny finished 2nd and 3rd at Charm City and is 3rd in the Heat Check. In 2nd place in the CX Heat Check Power Rankings is Sydney McGill. 4th last week on the Heat Check, Charm City was like a holiday in the sun for the Cervelo Orange Living Rider. I'd be a liar or pretty vacant, if you will, if I said it looked like she was having problems out there. No longer in New York. The old heads, by the way, have already caught on to what's happening here. If you're lost, go ask your dad. No longer in New York. A pair of second place finishes solidifies the second place in the heat check for Sid Vicious McGill. Now, never mind the bollocks, because we're at the number one spot. And it should come as no surprise that in that number one spot is Maghalie Rochette. No drama this week like we had in Rochester, just all-out dominance for 2 days. She kept Sid around for a few laps on each day before picking up the pace and soloing off the front for the win. Perfect on the season so far, Rochette has her crosshairs set on another North American World Cup win in 2 weeks. After we pause for a few beats to take a look at the top 11 in the women's field, we're going to move on to the men. In 11th place is Henry Coote. In Rochester, he was the third man in, but without the game misconduct penalty. This past weekend, Coote came up big in Baltimore, finishing second on day one and taking the win on day two for the Comp Edge squad. In 10th place, it's Miles Mattern. After a slew of second place finishes in the previous weeks, for Charm City on Saturday, Mattern took off from the whistle and did not let up until he crossed the line for the win. He followed that up with a tough battle with Coote on Sunday, finishing second to secure his spot in the heat check. In 9th place is Jules Van Kempen. Not a bad start to the weekend with a 9th place on Saturday, but Sunday proved to be a bit more of a challenge. An early crash left Van Kempen literally watching the whole field ride by before he could retrieve his bike. From dead last to 14th, that's where he ended. That's a bit of a heat check on its own, so Jules more than earns his keep in the CX Power rankings. In 8th place is Luke Valenti. A 10th place finish on Saturday got our attention, and an 8th place finish on Sunday in Baltimore solidified his spot in the Power rankings. Welcome to the heat check, Luke. The 7th spot goes to Caleb Swartz. He's doing enough to be here, but not moving up the standings like we expected. Swartz won his first UCI race at Indy last year, so maybe that will be the place this coming weekend where he really gets rolling for the season. And in 6th place is Scott Funston. The happy fun ball is starting to spin at alarmingly high rates. The whole shot artist is spending more and more time at the front of these races, and it's only a matter of time until he's mixing it up in the selection for the full 60 minutes. In the 5 spot on the CX Heat Check Power Rankings is Loris Rouillet. He didn't race on Sunday at Charm City and finished 4th on Saturday. It's been a bit of a professional fade for the Swiss rider since Roanoke, where he won both days. But he still managed a top 5 even on an off day, so that's good enough for a top 5 in the heat check. In 4th place, it's Curtis White. 2 third place finishes at Charm City gets Curtis from 7th to 4th in the heat check. But the mayor isn't satisfied. He's frustrated with the racing this weekend, and the national champ. We see it. He can sniff that top step. He now just has to get it between his teeth. In the 3rd spot, it's Vincent Bastens. Vinny B. It's really a bit of a bittersweet moment for us here on the heat check. Vincent raced his last race in the US, and well, we're kind of bummed about it. The guy invigorated the men's field over the past several seasons. As fans, we loved what he brought to the USCX and how he elevated the level of play. He's not American, but Vincent is an American cyclocross legend, and we wish him the best in his retirement. Which brings us to our 2nd spot. And if you've been following the US scene, this one was a tough call. Okay, it really wasn't that tough. Now, you know the deal. In 2nd place is Anton Ferdinand. Frustrated for the past 3 weeks, but he finally broke through for the win he's been looking for on Saturday. But on Sunday, he had some issues and faded at the end for 4th, which keeps him 2nd in the heat check. Tangentially related. Okay, tangentially is a stretch. Interestingly enough, Did you know that Franz Ferdinand, the actual guy, not the band, was assassinated on the same day that the Tour de France started in 1914? And did you also know that the winner of that tour, Philippe Thys, in 1910 was Belgian national cyclocross champion? I'll bet Alex Capranos, singer of Franz Ferdinand the band, knew that. Which brings us to number one, and to nobody's surprise, it's Andrew Strohmeyer. Finally! After knocking his head against a proverbial cyclocross wall for the past 3 weeks, he finally solved the puzzle and won. Strohmeyer finished second on Saturday at Charm City before sealing the deal and taking the win on Sunday. The Big Dig gets his first UCI Elite win while still a U23 racer. We knew it would happen eventually, but to do it in front of the home crowd in his native Maryland made it that much sweeter. The absolute king of the heat check from the beginning of the season, he makes it stick in Baltimore. And that's it, your power rankings in the men's field. While you take a look at the top 11, I'll remind you to subscribe to the CXHairs Bulletin at cxhairs.substack.com and to go to cxhairsdistro.com to buy a cyclocross-themed t-shirt, like this one. Or you can even get a PDF of the Skills, Drills, and Belly Aches book. Thanks for watching the Heat Check. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. We're probably taking a few weeks off, but we'll be back soon enough. Until then, hang in there, kid.